I was looking at this story yesterday about Logan Airport in my home state of Massachusetts, and there are migrants living in the airport in Logan. That's fucking wild. Basically, every major Western city is following the San Francisco blueprint of just dystopian tent chaos, fucking chaos spaces, homeless and migrants mixing together. Where the fuck are these migrants coming from? Was there like a war I missed or something? Like, I mean, there's always been wars going on in some of these third world countries, and I get that, but I mean, I know why. It's all a planned thing. It's all by design. But you know, the normies wonder like why there's so many flooding the states to the point where they're living in the fucking airport. Do any of them go like, hey, where are they all coming from? Why do they have to come here? And why are they just all men who left their families behind? It's kind of weird, right? I mean, like I said, we know why, but yeah, it's crazy to watch. Like, so you have that going on. We're just in wave after wave of endless migrants coming into the country, and on top of it, they're driving everyone into the street. Like, you know, people going broke. They can't afford to live really anymore, so they're ending up homeless, just regular Americans. And in some cases, they're favoring the migrants over the citizens, you know, that were here to begin with. But it all works for them. They're looking for complete chaos in these cities, and on top of that, I mean, what they really want is this: they want no one to have anything. All these stores that are closing, and I know a lot of them are closing because of the increased uptick in crime, but they don't want to have anything available for people. Basically, they want people, or the majority of the population here, on the street with no way to get food or shelter, and to be desperate, because then they could say, oh, we have all the stuff you need at the relief shelter. You know, all these camps that have been set up around the country. There's one up the street from here. I think there's a couple on Oahu. And yeah, come on over here. We got food, we got shelter. It's economizing their cattle, basically. You know, they see us as cattle, and they're trying to get them all closer together so that they can farm them more efficiently. It's basically what's happening. So we're heading toward a situation where no one's going to have anything or be able to get anything. There will be people of means who sidestep this, but the people of means kind of level of income will get higher and higher. Like, you'll have to be like super duper rich to and it's happening here. Like, a lot of things that they want to do didn't make it in time, just people didn't move quick enough. I saw like the light change where I'm not gonna complain. I'd just be bitching all day. But yeah, you can kind of see it unfold, or I can see it unfold anyway, how they want to have it. And it's happening now, and it's happening fast. In Hawaii here, this is like a microcosm of the mainland because it's a controlled population. So it's like having their own little country here to do social experimentation with. And what's happening here is the gulf between those who get their feet washed and the feet washers is expanding exponentially. That gulf is becoming wider and wider. Basically, you know, there'll be a point where like people like myself and Nia who work just to basically be able to survive here, we're not going to be able to withstand that. You know, you either have to have super money or you're going to be on the street, right? And yeah, they want to create this desperation, like, because we used to talk about the camps that they were setting up, so many of them, all the plastic caskets, all the stuff, and everyone was always trying to figure out what the scenario would be to get people in there. And there's been different ways they've got them in there before, when there's been emergencies, weather emergencies. They've swindled people to go into those places, and all kinds of bad shits happen. They had a barge sitting out in the water here like 5 years ago that they were putting people on. And this, of course, ties into the trafficking trade and the body part trade and that whole deal. But yeah, so what they're doing here is they're pricing people the fuck out. Like, so many people have moved from here already, and to replace them, we brought in guys like that are on government. They're on the government anyway, you know. They brought them here to take the spaces of all the other people, because what they're looking for this area, at least I feel that's what they do. And the reason I can spot like I'm like this guy here, because we didn't have a lot of African people here when I first moved here. It was very rare that you would see one. Like never. I remember just a couple weeks ago I did a video and I was counting them all, the ones I knew. You know, I didn't even get past one hand. And I mentioned Charles, this dude I know over by the beach. And the next day, me and you come to the street and I saw him. Nice little synchronicity. But yeah, so these people are already on government programs. So they bring them in here to take up all these spaces. Now the way they do that, because I'm sure people are like, well, how do they take some of these nicer places that people were, well, with the emergency powers in place, which they still are because of COVID, they can rezone these living spaces as low income. A lot of the landlords, many who don't even live here, they don't give a fuck what you do. So, you know, they convert their living place. I mean, some of them are staying in these really nice places that people used to spend a lot of money to live in. And that's why people like myself get salty, because, you know, me and Nia, it's like we always have to work and create money just to survive, right? And then someone comes in who's doesn't pay anything, lives off the government, and they get a fucking swank place that used to be a regular, I almost said a regular person's place, used to be like a regular like rental, like or whatever, that would cost, you know, the average amount a month. I think I mean, a one-bedroom house here is $1 million currently. Rental for a one-bedroom is $2,000 to $2,500. It's pretty crazy. And there's a lot of reasons why they've done this. I've done videos on it, and I really can't get into the whole thing, but there's a lot of reasons why they wanted to bring these people here. But you know, what's done is done, you know. So, and of course, the Islanders get screwed the worst, like always. You know, a lot of people that spent generations here have to fuck off over to fucking Las Vegas. Someone brought up an interesting point too. I was like in a comment section where whenever outsiders would move here, especially Caucasians, Islanders would get so mad, like, you know, colonizers, this is our island, go home. I hope they're not treated that way when they go to Las Vegas. I don't think they would be. You know, people aren't We aren't like that on the mainland. we. But so it's like, I don't think that'll happen to them there. You know, then maybe they'll, that's going to say learn something from that, but no one learns anything from anything. But yeah, so they got screwed again. They dumped them off the island. They brought all these people in, some from Africa itself and other people that fit that demographic who are from the mainland. And I don't see anyone bringing this up. And the reason it is because people are afraid of being called a racist or something. I'm just relaying information that I see, that is plain to see. My neighbors have talked to me about it, like in hushed tones, you know, out behind the building. Hey, have you noticed there's a little... It's like, yeah, this is by design. It's purposely done this way. And it's because we simply didn't have very many Africans here before. Because there was a financial border here. You know, to live here costs a lot of money. Just to get here costs a lot of money. So we had mostly Asians and white people. And that was it. You know, so now after COVID, when they cleared out a lot of room, and they did something here in Hawaii that was fucking crazy. The federal money came in, right? And I've covered this again so many times. I apologize to people that have heard this story a million times. They held they didn't pass out the money, basically. And they just printed excuse after excuse in the papers and the media. And at first it was, well, we need help passing the money out, so we have to hire people. So weeks are going by, they finally have hired these people to help them pass the money out. And then they said, well, we don't have a big enough place to put all the people we hired. I'm not kidding you. This is real life. This is the real life. You can probably find this stuff online. I mean, it was all in the news. And so they kept playing a cat and mouse game. They said they were over at the convention center, right? Doing this counting or this assessing. And when you called the number to try to get information, the lines were always busy. No one would pick them up. So people started going over to the convention center, trying to knock on the door and try to get in. So they hired armed guards to keep people away. And then come to find out, I guess they weren't even in the convention center. That was just a fucking ruse. So they're holding all the money. And meanwhile, people have no money, right? Now, the federal government gave it to them. Usually in Hawaii, that kind of thing happens anyway. You know, there's like, they'll say, hey, we need X amount of dollars. I'd put a railing in over by the LOI, and it's going to be steel railing. And they give them the money, and then they buy like fucking bamboo railing, and they pocket the rest. That's just how it goes here. So I was thinking when they're holding the money, I'm like, it's just the regular shit, man. They want to see how much they can keep by forcing people off the island by just not giving them the money. I'm surprised people didn't get crazy. I mean, they got pretty crazy, but what can they do? You know, I mean, I don't know. It was, I think if this kind of thing happened in a mainland state, though, it would have been a different story. You know, people have a bit more, they're just a bit more, you know, over in the mainland. So anyway, yeah, a bunch of people had to leave, emptied out a lot of spaces, made them into low-income housing, and brought all these people in who are already on welfare. So you got all those people here now. And what they want to do is they want to create kind of like, if you go to Jamaica or something, you can't, I don't know if this is how it is there, but a lot of these countries are like this. You can't leave the hotel because it's too dangerous. You're going to get robbed, you're going to get jumped, you're going to get killed. Yeah, it's funny because all the new people are always like looking around, like, what is that? What is that? They're always asking people for directions. Usually sneakers with socks, a lot of hoodies and stuff too. I mean, you can tell by the color of the people that you know they're new, but if you didn't have that, you'd be able to tell anyway. But yeah, I can't tell you how few there were. You just never saw them. You never saw people like that. And it's because of the reasons, you know, I explained. Now it's like 25%, it feels like, maybe 30%. A quarter, maybe even, of the population is from that demographic. And there's a whole other reason why they wanted those specific kind of people here. And it has to do with getting a pop from when they want to burn a fucking place down. The George Floyd protests, right? When they were going down, they boarded up this whole fucking thing. They're expecting this crazy, you know, riot like in all these other cities. There was this dude driving around, definitely a Fed. He had he was in a truck with a bullhorn on the top of his, you know, cops not pulling him over, nothing. He riding right down here. In fact, you know what's funny? Every time I go to tell a story, I'm in the exact spot. I was right here except across the street. And he comes pulling up, riding slow, going, Antifa is coming to rape your women. They're coming to kill your, beware. Antifa is coming. This weekend, you know, whenever it was, this weekend, I think it was a weekend, they were having these Floyd riots. I don't know what his deal was. It was supposed to cause panic or something. I don't know. But he was definitely a Fed. And then, you know, a few minutes after, he drives by, just some cops cruising by. So anyway, they're expecting this fucking, you know, they wanted it. They wanted it. And there's a lot of other parts to this too that I don't have the time to go through, that I would show you. This is what they want here. Because they have it in every other American city, that they want that army of golems here to do their bidding. So when the protests happened, nothing happened here. Nothing happened here. Because the Islanders don't give a fuck. And I'll sum it up for you with this local girl, how she explained it in the story. I was walking home one day from walking near to work, and this local girl comes walking up to me. She looked kind of worse for wear, and she's like, "Hey, can I walk with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." I'm like, "You have a rough night?" She's like, "Yeah, I got in a fight with this black guy." I'm like, "A guy?" He's like, "Yeah, well, he punched me first, so I fought, you know, I started fighting him." You know, local girls here are really tough. They'll fucking fight you. You know, I know a lot of guys like that aren't used to someone, especially a woman fighting back. You know, they're comfortable beating on women because, you know, whatever. They don't usually fight back, but the girls here do. And she got in a fight with him because he was talking about police brutality. And to sum it all up, she was saying, we don't care about your police brutality. We have our own problems with the police. You know, we have our own problems with the government. We don't really care about your situation. So he didn't like that, and he punched in the face. Not surprising. I mean, that's you know, that's the standard behavior. So yeah, that the Islanders don't care really about the black struggle, because they have their own problem with the government and their own problem with police. So they got rid of them all. They tossed them off the island. You have to take my word for it. Look at the fucking news. You see all these stories about, you know, Islanders lived here for generations. They have to go. They moved to Las Vegas, moved to the mainland, all this other shit. And they brought in the correct demographic of who they want here to tear down the city when they need them to. I think the thinking was, and we had guys here. There was this musician up here on the street, a busker who would always have a pretty good crowd, and he'd set up a stage and stuff. He'd always end his set with this thing about how Hawaiians and black people got to come together. First of all, there are no Hawaiians here. You're not going to find a Hawaiian in fucking Waikiki. There's like very few of them on the island. You'll certainly find a lot of people that'll tell you they're Hawaiian. Every guy at McDonald's is Hawaiian, has their own island, and fucking they're really a secret king. But no one really is, you know. There's not many left. It's some small percentage, I think less than 5 or something. So, and he used to finish his sets with this whole thing about how they have to unite, against the colonizers. You know, it's retarded. Because like, well, I don't even understand what the what the point of that would be. But anyway, that's what I think they thought was going to happen, but it just didn't. There are some other news stories too about this guy, this black guy that moved here with his wife. He had 2 kids, and he was kind of he had problems, I guess. And one day he home invades this Asian lady's house, goes in there, sits on a couch, starts taking his shoes off, and she's like, "What the fuck?" She called the police. Now the guy's wife is like, "She wouldn't have called the police if it was a white man," all this and that. I'm like, what? Like mental. Cops show up, he breaks one of the cops' legs. They end up having to shoot him, kill him. And they should have. So everybody was upset on that side of the fence because there was no public outcry. They're like, where's the outrage? Where are the protests? If this man was white, this never would have happened to him, which is fucking bullshit. The guy walked into some stranger's house and started dictating policy, wouldn't leave, and when the cops came, he attacked them. That guy had to be put down. He's a danger to, you know, society. Many such cases. So they're mad about that. And that just gives you like, you know, a preview of what was to come. And then when the George Floyd thing didn't set off like they wanted to, they're like, all right, we got to do something. So if the Islanders aren't going to play ball and join with the blacks to scare white people and run people out of these cities, because they want these cities to turn into hellholes, hellscapes. That's what they want. They want that kind of thing, like where you go to a... you know, the reason is because they don't want anyone with purchasing power here. If you're going to be living here, you're going to be on the government. It's going to look like a Rio fucking area, like the slums there. And there'll be people here that work for the hotels and stuff still, and that's why the rail is being built, and that's why they signed on to Stack and Pack about 10 years ago. Stack and Pack really is people storage. They have a setup, like almost in the middle of the island. They started making these places where the people that work here are actually going to live out there. They're not going to be able to live in this area. And it's specifically situated so they can't see the ocean, they can't see anything. And they're in these like people warehouses. Stack and Pack is what they've been, you know, termed as. And that is also the 15-minute city. The 15-minute city, the idea of it is a prison. You know, when you go outside your zone, your 15-minute zone, you fucking know right away you're gonna, you know, you're gonna have road pirates right on your ass. Oh, how come you're over here? Why, you know, what is your business over here? Again, everything is about keeping their cattle all together, economizing their farming. They want everybody, they want everyone like that. There's like a million things here at play. But basically, yeah, they want to make every city a fucking hellhole. Because what'll have to happen is then you're going to have to go to them. Ultimately, that's what's going to happen. You know, and these other people, these, you know, diverse people are just being used to create this kind of the area they want with crime. I mean, when they started coming here in 2001, we had a 44% jump in violent crime in 1 year. Violent crimes, things we'd never seen here before. Murders. There were a couple hostage situations over here facing up with cops. People barricading themselves in. There were 2 murders, like there was a day between them apart. There was a kid at a bus stop on Kuhio. 6 kids attacked him, killed him, and then a day later someone was shot and killed. This kind of stuff never ever went on here. When I first moved here, it was the 2nd safest city in the United States. Now I think it's 9th or 11th. So when they brought all these guys in, low-income, diverse people, they bring this sort of thing with them. You know, they bring this sort of crime with them. And that's a whole deeper conversation. That has to do with the brain. And I really don't have time to get into that. And I don't know if I can get into it on YouTube in the way that I would have to kind of make my point. But we never had people from the demographic here, ever, ever, ever. Now, I mean, as you can see, if you've been listening to me talk here, they've got a lot of them here now. And all of them are already on the government, and they don't care. Whereas we didn't have that crazy crime before, because there are some tough Islander guys here. There are some guys you don't want to fuck with, you know. But these guys aren't going to go into the local bodega and put a gun in an old lady's face, because they probably know the lady, you know, the family. They worry about their ohana. They're you know, respectful of their island. These guys don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. I remember the first time we saw something like this, and they wouldn't describe them as being black, but you could see from the surveillance footage, they had masks on. You could see their black sort of arms. And they went to a jewelry store and just violently fucking monged these people, robbed the place. And in the media, everyone's like, we've never seen anything like this before here. It's like, yep, yeah. Well, you see a lot of it now. They used to have this thing called Hawaii Crime Stoppers. And I think one of the newspapers would do it, but it would appear on the local news. And me and Neil would laugh, because it was always Hawaii Crime Stoppers is looking for so-and-so, and there were always island people, but they were like for kind of bullshit crimes, like, you know, misdemeanors. Hawaii Crime Stoppers, a serial shoplifter. It was never anything like real, so we giggle, you know, because in, you know, Boston and the mainland, you know, real crime. We didn't have it here. Well, ever since they did the Great Replacement here, they don't have that feature anymore anywhere. It used to be on TV, it used to be in all the papers. It was unavoidable, you know. It was on the, you know, you'd walk into the foyer of my building, and they have these handout papers, always Hawaii Crime Stoppers. We are currently looking for Keone something, and he didn't show up to court for something, and now we have a you know, a warrant out for him. If you see him in the area, occasionally you get like a dangerous guy. Rarely like a murderer, though. Maybe attack somebody. You just didn't have that. They don't have Crime Stoppers anymore, though, because it would just, you know, it would be a bad look. It would be the same, you know, people that they don't want to talk about, you know. And it's not because they like Africans, they love black people, they care about equality, they want to support them. It's because they are their golems. They are their troops. They are an extension of their hand. Always has been that way. It always has been that way. They've always controlled them. Always. If they ever met their goals, which they won't, as far as like, if they could somehow wipe out every Caucasian in the world, our masters, because they're the only kind of group of people they fear, are the Caucasians. And this goes back to the Jews and everything. We're the real sons of Abraham. They're pretending to be the sons of Abraham. So there's a religious thing, there's a societal thing, and there's just there's the aggression thing, the fear thing. Every conquering army, right? You know, when was the last time you saw an LGBT army take over anything, or a black army take over anything, or all-female armies? They're foot soldiers ain't gonna do shit. They're not afraid of them. They control all those people, and so they fear the Caucasian. And it's because we have average stats. We have dead average stats. Like people, you know, talk about white supremacy, and it's the only people that talk about that are non-Caucasian people. And the thing is, you know, everybody's good at something, right? Some people are stronger, but they're not as smart. Some people are smarter, but not as strong. Caucasians tend to have a complete average stats across the board. 85, 85, 85, 85. We're not exceptional at anything, but we're not bad at anything so that we can't do it. So we're versatile. And I think that's why we've always kind of been the ones who can get shit done. And plus, we build systems. You know, the reason is because Caucasian people come from colder climates. They come from up north, Caucasus Mountains. You know, Aryans had to deal with all kinds of different weather, so you got to build a house that is going to keep you warm. And when you start building things, and you start farming on those off seasons, so that you have food when it gets cold again, you're building systems. You're creating systems, and ultimately, you end up with a city, right? If you're in a tropical climate like Hawaii or something, you don't need you don't need systems, and that's why they suck at systems here. Holy shit, man! If you have to get something fixed, forget about it. They call it brain drain, where they say, well, the real smart people leave, and because the money is to be made on the mainland. No, this is like a genetic thing. This is like a racial thing. They're good at all kinds of other stuff, but you know, and it's not just the Hawaiians. It's like Caucasians kind of are the only people that can really seem to handle systems. You know, like we've had, God, every year, sometimes twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, we have a plumber come out to, you know, because the toilet breaks. It just happened, like not too long ago. We were staying at our friend Cheeto's house while it was being fixed. Cheeto, Chido, not Cheeto, like the snack. She's from Zimbabwe. So that's why her name is that. But anyway, point is, every year, at least twice a year, these motherfuckers come out and they look at it and go, oh, I don't know. You know, they fuck around for sometimes 2 days, and then they put a Band-Aid on it and leave because they don't know how to fix it. This is the same problem with you want to get your cable fixed or something. Shit, I watched these dudes put a sewer line in behind my building, right? It took them almost 2 years to put the sewer line in. Maybe there was complications, but as a civil engineer most of my life, I've been around that stuff all the time. It doesn't take 2 years to put what they were putting in. And then you go to these job sites, it's like when people do show up, there's a lot of standing around, then they leave. So some people are more, are just better at certain things. But our average stats, our mediocrity is what makes us a threat to our masters. Because we're not great at anything, we're not tolerable at anything either. We just about ride the line. It's funny, you know, anti-white people are always like, mediocre white men. It's like, yes, that's why we're dangerous. That's why they want us dead. But if they did do that, okay, if they did finally wipe out all the Caucasians, right, they would scoop everybody else up in an afternoon and just get rid of them, you know, and just use them for to make pavement out of them. Like, they would get rid of all those people so fast. Like, the progressives have this weird idea that once all the straight white men are gone, it will be this, like, one of those Cal Arts murals that they have on these fucking airports, where you have just like interracial couples and just all different kinds of brown and black people and lesbians with the shaved heads, and there's no white men anywhere. It's like a paradise. Yeah, no, they hate those people just as much as they hate us. It's just they know they can use them because some people are, you know, are a bit more trickable, or they have a bit more, you know. The black family was destroyed, ironically, kind of right after the civil rights movement, when they incentivized single motherhood. So they broke up the black family, and once you break up the family, shit's fucked. There's no going back. You can't put the cat back into the toothpaste tube at that point. You know, you can't put the toothpaste back in the bag. It's over. So they've screwed those people, and then they kept them on welfare programs, so their whole existence, they basically own them. That's why you don't see a lot of black homeless people, like hardly ever, because they have a ton of different social safety nets, and that's why homeless people are 95% straight white guys. Or, well, maybe not straight, I'm sure there's a lot of gay guys. Well, no, gay people usually go with their money. Anyway, every homeless guy is a white dude. because the women kind of usually get some kind of money if there's some kind of divorce or something, and diverse kind of peoples are protected from cradle to grave financially. So, you know, it's an attack. It's not that this has nothing to do with, you know, white people bad, black people good, or black people bad, or white. It's that they are masquerading our masters in this, or the masters we see, as the sons of Abraham. Their whole fucking religion depends on that idea. Yet the real sons of Abraham are still walking around. So they got to get rid of us. Or that's in their mind, they have to get rid of us. They don't favor any one group over another. They hate us all equally. Yeah, so it's only a racial thing to us, right? The slaves out here, because they want us to fight. They want us to fucking, you know, be salty that they're not paying rent next door to me when when we have to bust our ass to get money. These guys don't pay to live. They want me to be salty about that, because they want to they want to stoke that sort of racial hatred between people. Because as long as they're fighting with each other, we don't notice them stealing our kids. You know? How long have I been walking around the circle out here? Do I sound like a crazy person? Yes, I do. I mean, I could get a lot. I could explain this so much better if you were my neighbor. If you were my neighbor, we'd go to like well, not Starbucks. We wouldn't go to Starbucks. We'd get a coffee and sit out here, and I could talk freely about things and make you understand a lot easier. Now, I'm sure some of you already do. You've seen it, but all this babbling I've been doing for the past probably feels like a half hour now. It should start to create some kind of picture. And what's going on here, like I said, is what they want for the entire mainland. This is a controlled population. They can run these little war games here, and that's how all the cities in the mainland are going to end up too. You're going to have their people living there on the government. They're going to have their government people living there, and everyone else is going to be out in the street, right? And that causes tension between races, rinse and repeat over and over. I think before any of this really gets too serious, God's coming back. Jesus will return. And he's not coming back. I don't think he's coming back the way people think he is. It's not gonna be like a blue beam thing, you know. Fuck your blue beam. He's not gonna come rolling in on a cloud with his beard blowing in the wind and sandals and stuff. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. He's gonna come through us. He'll manifest through us. You know, once people reach that critical mass of that high vibration, I can't really articulate what that is like, but meme, put the meme up there. All right, I gotta get going. Starting to depress myself. Yeah, basically shit's fucked here, and shit's gonna be fucked everywhere, but that's okay, because this place has to nosedive, it has to burn, it has to go. This is a system, an evil system, you know? It doesn't deserve to exist anymore. And we're gonna transcend this place, and one day we may not be able to even recall this place. It'll be like a dream, like by the afternoon you already forgot what it was. We're like, hey, remember when we were in that test thing in that weird world? Yeah, that's how we're gonna look at this place. If we even have a memory of it at some point. But until that happens, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.